And there was another simple thing that you said, and I forgot where this came from, but it was just this simplicity of when you're working with a practitioner, someone say they're going through cancer treatment, or their life force is depleted in some way because they are out of harmony, they are out of balance, they're dealing with some level of dis-ease. So they are at a lower energy capacity. And so when you bring in a healer doing energy work, they're transmitting that their own powerful biofield and energy stores, because they're just a channel. A lot of them are channeling divine energy. They have that open channel. So they're just tapping into that infinite source of energy. It's like a, charging cord of an iPhone.
Exactly. No, it's a great way of putting it. We say that often, just like you need to charge your phone, you need to charge your field.
You need to charge your field. So that's why tapping into some of these practitioners when you're going through something is absolutely not only, I would highly recommend it, but it's a way to get your life force as you're going through something and making the changes in your lifestyle. And, whether it's you have to do surgery or drugs or whatever, to get that extra support energetically from someone or something, it's so smart.
Yeah, it really makes sense. And then we realize how important it is, and why the data says that social support, all kinds of support, spiritual support is so important. Because if we're going with what we've learned from the biofield, right, that we're all connected, that we're not separate, that we're all part of a larger sea consciousness, then when we go through traumas, when we go through, grueling times, and we're all kind of in grueling times right now, right? This has been a really great life lesson for all of us in the pandemic to help understand how deeply we're connected. So we don't have to just spread emotional contagion in negative ways. We can spread emotional contagion in positive ways. And when we connect with an energy healer to help boost us, it's because we're connected that we can do that. And guess what? When we fill our well, then we can help fill the well of someone else. But we've got to be okay with asking for support and filling our well. One of the spiritual lessons that I think we all learn when we go through the healing journey is that beautiful balance of giving and receiving. Because, what I found a lot are patients that tend to get really worn out are the ones that tend to be on output or giving a lot. And this is where the whole wounded healer thing comes from too, right? We forget to receive. And so when we open ourselves to receiving, first of all, that's a beautiful thing. It drives us to our sense of self-love. And when we have that really deep sense of self-love, because we're allowing ourselves to receive, because we love ourselves enough, and ourselves here is all of it. Yeah. It's our small selves and it's our large selves. We receive, and then we can give from a full cup. And then we're not kind of continuing to embody the wounded healer archetype, because it is time, for all the healers that are listening. I know you're nodding and smiling in agreement right now that we have to move beyond the wounded healer archetype now. It's the time.
Yes. And so many studies have been done on isolation and lack of connection as a bigger precursor to premature death than even tobacco or excessive alcohol. So, which is why the way that we kind of handled this pandemic was so devastating, because people were isolated, and it's just like so heartbreaking. But if you think, but the point I'm trying to make is that social connection, there's so much science behind how just social connection and receiving that love, whether it's from a practitioner or your loving, supportive family and friends when you're going through something, or finding those doctors that speak to you and keep your hope up and interact with you in a loving way, all of that makes a difference. So as many people go, well, how do I find the right energy healer? Or how do I know that they're not a snake oil salesman? Or just in your studies, you show that even the people that were receiving sham healing, a lot of them felt that they were getting healing energy because of just the basic level of social connection, and that loving, they were receiving love from that person, putting their intention on them. So what I would say to that is just really tune into, are you feeling loved and supported? And know that at that base level, as you explore and find your healers who will inevitably come to you when you're setting that intention and asking God or the universe for that to come to you, just that connection of love is healing in its own right.
It really is. And what we've learned from the data is it is about quality, not about quantity. So it's not about the number of Facebook followers. It's not about any of that. And what we've learned too from the Biofield, just really quick, we're writing up a study looking at the effects of distant sound healing on anxiety during the pandemic, where we found profound effects of people getting sound healing at a distance through Zoom. These folks met criteria for generalized anxiety disorder, and after 3 sessions actually dropped to levels below criteria for generalized anxiety. So the Biofield teaches us that we're connected even when we're separated in space. And the data shows us that the quality, not the quantity, matters. So what that means for us is, and I have some meditations, Kelly, that I share that are on Insight Timer and on my website and things like that. We can do a 5-minute practice, literally of tapping into our hearts to open to support. And that can be, opening our hearts to support from the people around us, as well as spiritual guidance. And it will really have a profound effect on our mental and emotional health, but our physical health as well. There's so many studies showing that. So absolutely, for anyone listening that, does feel alone, know that you're never alone. And all you need is any trusted connection, anything that lifts your heart, any person that lifts your spirit, even a pet, even the trees in the backyard. Those are places and people and beings to connect with. So know that you're never alone.
So beautiful. Yeah, never alone. That's Deepak's new foundation to connect.
Yeah. And said that for a reason.
Yeah.
We really aren't. We're never alone.
We're never alone. 2 more questions because I think they're amazing. Healing power of creative expression. You started as a singer, then you stepped away from it with your scientific kind of ambitions and education and research focus. And then you realized that you were missing a part of yourself and that creative expression. So you started a heavy metal cover band called Nuns and Moses, which I love. And then went on to do something like, Iron Maiden cover band. You are a heavy metal singer. What is going on?
I love singing. I love singing everything. And this is when you give yourself up to the creative force and you just allow it to express itself through you, you don't know where it's going to take you. And I remember my healing teacher once said that her guidance said, the way to enlightenment, the path to enlightenment is through the ridiculous. And so I just really embraced that. So long story short, I followed my desires, which is I had always wanted to do a rock cover band. And I remember calling my friend, long story short, I had to abridge the story a little bit in the book, but I ended up being front row center for a Guns N' Roses show. This was Axl Rose's boy band before the band actually got back together. But I called my friend and I said, I always wanted to do a Guns N' Roses cover band just for fun. I wanted to do it. And he said, well, dude, we're getting old. So if you want to do it, you better do it soon. And I thought, why not? So I just, went on Craigslist of all things, started calling out musicians, didn't know anyone, and, downloaded this name Nuns and Moses for the Guns N' Roses cover band, came out as Moses for part of the show and sang the songs from inspiration. I mean, it was just complete ridiculous fun. Didn't know that the San Diego tribute scene was actually really serious. So meanwhile, they're all like, who is this woman? Like, what is she doing? We ended up being a Jeopardy question, actually, I found out later. It was just hilarious that we didn't know where it was going to go. It was just fun. And then when I got asked to sing in the Iron Maiden tribute band that was forming, I thought, oh, Iron Maiden, I don't really listen to heavy metal. Like, what is this about? And as I talked with my husband, who's also a musician, he said, oh, they're incredible musicians. They've got to be really good musicians. That's very intricate music. So I thought, okay, I'd give it a try. And again, I made it my own. And the point of it being, I was in my 40s when I did that. So for anyone who feels like you lost your creative expression or whatever, I just want to share with you, it's not too late. It was very joyful for me. I mean, now I find myself singing more of Joni Mitchell and I'm finally writing my own songs. And it's just a journey because what it did for me is it just opened me up to realize that I don't have to leave a part of myself behind. And what I also realized is how powerful the creative energy is and how healing it is for us. And I mean, not only does it give us energy, and yes, we can express all kinds of things, emotions, and, we can express the state of the world through our art and the state of ourselves. But more than anything, we're literally tapping into the creative force that is in all of us. It's literally what gives us life, right? And that is so powerful. So many scientists, psychologists, other people have spoken about this, and it has a little bit of a shadow side to it sometimes in the way that it's been explored or discussed, but there's no shadow to it. It's your birthright. and you choose to express it any way you want. So even creating a cool meal, making something up from the refrigerator, wearing an outfit that expresses your feelings at the time, that's all creativity. And the data shows that every day that we're creative is a day that we actually have more positive mental health. There's research around this. So I really encourage people to do anything creative. It doesn't matter, like write in a journal, write a poem, draw a stick figure, like, play with your kid and do something creative with your kid. You will see the effects on your health if you do that.
As you're talking about this, I'm getting another light bulb aha moment. This is why I love your work. But, we've talked about this a lot in Heal. A lot of people, there's a moment in time where you kind of poo-poo your creative gifts and you go the safe route or society's expected route or what your parents want you to do or the responsible thing. And that's when, as Jeffrey Thompson in Heal says, that's when disease starts to unravel, because you are shutting down a part of yourself and your creative expression. And as you're talking, it's almost like, just as if like a Reiki initiation connects you to your source, your creative gifts, your creative expression, whatever you're inspired to do, is actually that open channel to source energy flowing through you. So of course your health is going to be more vital. And that's why play and creative expression is so important as not only for a healing journey, but also for preventative medicine. Every day we need to incorporate play and creative expression. And you don't have to, if you're raised in a family of lawyers or doctors and you want to go down that path, just as long as you don't lose whatever brings you joy creatively, you can still do that on the side. You could live a very vital, purposeful life, And,
I know doctors. I have a friend who's a doctor who just started playing flute again after stopping it around age 13. And she's so excited for it because, I'll tell you, all the scientists I talk to, I find out they're closet musicians. And all the musicians I talk to, I find out are closet scientists, because we all have these aspects of ourselves. When I started singing heavy metal and everybody realized what work I did as a scientist and with our initiative, they started coming and telling me about their fantastic stories of healing and their philosophies of consciousness. Everyone is really deep, like if you start talking to people, everyone has all of these facets. And so absolutely, we have to give ourselves permission to be ourselves. And part of the gift of creativity is that it does bring authenticity. It does allow us to express all parts of ourselves and not feel like we have to hide them away. I'll tell you a really quick story before we end, just so people know that the struggle is real. In my 40s, when I started fronting this Iron Maiden tribute band, and I will admit, like, some of my scientific colleagues thought it was hilarious. Others couldn't understand it at all. And they were like, what are you doing? My father was definitely in this camp. And at one point, he was so upset that I was doing this. And he said, you're going to ruin your career. And like, what are you doing? All the stuff you've been building up and healing. And now you're singing these heavy metal songs on stage. And, and I mean, he literally practically threatened to disown me. At one point, I was like, what? I'm in my 40s. Like I understand that you don't think this is acceptable, but this was a process. So this just shows how socially ingrained we are in those ideas of separatism, that we feel threatened sometimes to, or other people may feel threatened when we express ourselves fully. And yet we will find our own way and our own liberation as we do it. It's a journey. Like I said, now I sing heavy metal less just because it's not really as strongly in me. I find myself just where I am, in this moment in time, and even the environment around me, wanting to sing things that are a little bit more flowing and soft, because that's part of my learning process now, is learning how not to push and how to flow. But you got to start where you are. Yeah. So and thank you for just reminding people that when you do that, when you honor your creativity and your authenticity, you open the pathway for powerful healing. That's really the point.
Thank you for listening to the Heal podcast. Be sure to tune in for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. Oh, and make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And if you feel inspired, we would love you to rate and review us so that we have the opportunity to reach more people. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram for some behind the scenes fun and more inspiration at @HealDocumentary and @KellyGorris. Thank you so much, and be well.